loud. Okay, awesome. Like we're ready to go?
Yes, let's do it. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining the session. And today, myself and Jessica, we both are going to talk through on the Kaiser Permanente's journey and primarily focusing on grants and what we have done to streamline the overall upgrade process, as well as the improvements that we have done and our journey in the upgrade process for the last few years. Okay, I am Prasad Kodali. I'm Kaiser Permanente. I'm a manager, and my day-to-day functions are supporting the research and grants business partners and the project costing business partners from PeopleSoft.
Okay. And I'm Jessica Mann from SpearMC. I head up our grants practice, and welcome everybody to the session. Thanks for coming.
About Kaiser Permanente, yeah, we are the nation's largest integrated health system, and we have close to 13 million members and around 24K physicians. We have over 39 hospitals and almost 220,000 employees. And these are some of the fun stats that we put together, and as I said, we are big, largest integrated system, and one other thing is we extensively use PeopleSoft, and we have around 248,000 users, and on a day-to-day basis, there are always 12,000 users that are active in the system, and we are up and running almost 100% of the time, except for when there are certain downtimes that we have to bring down the system to do updates or any other maintenance kind of things. And these are, as I said, there are around 900,000 jobs that keep running on the system on a monthly basis. Okay. I think you went back, Jessica.
I am so sorry. My mouse. Were you done there, or did I cut you off?
I'm done there.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay.
Okay, I just need to stick
next
with
slide, please. Yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, I support the grants business partners across all the research centers. So our journey started in 2015, and almost all the research centers are in PeopleSoft except for a couple of them. And this year we are working on bringing the two remaining research centers into PeopleSoft. Okay. And these are some of the statistics for your reference. And, okay, as I called out earlier, OneLink platform, we use most of the Oracle delivered functionality that's out there, and we buy to pay, all the end-to-end processes, and acquire to retire. We also have grants, and apart from that, we have other edge applications like Vertex, Ariba, and AdPower, that heavily integrate with OneLink. OneLink is the Oracle PeopleSoft instance, we are on 9.2 and Image 43, which is the latest, and Tools 8.58.
Okay, a little bit about SpearMC. So we are an Oracle partner and specialize in PeopleSoft. So financials, HCM, supply chain, grants management. We do offer managed services, and we do a lot of training, both on the functional side and the technical side. The last couple of years, it's primarily been live virtual, but we also have material you can purchase directly from our website. We can help with moving and hosting on OCI. And we also do help customers get started with PeopleSoft Test Framework. We'll be talking a little bit more about that, the tool in this session. And we can also help with your PUM updates and putting together kind of a roadmap of your projects and sequencing of PeopleSoft project and enhancements. and then a couple other Oracle tools as well. Okay, and here is kind of a representation of where we are today. We are based out of the Bay Area. Yeah, I'm down here in Phoenix area, still quite hot for us over here. We are proud to be recognized by Gartner. So in the latest 2022 Gartner Market Guide for Oracle Professional Services, we were the sole featured PeopleSoft vendor. So very excited about that. And we are also SOX 2 certified. I should change my technique here. I'm scrolling.
Regarding this session, yes, as called out earlier, we have been successfully implementing and rolling on all the latest PUM updates that Oracle is providing, and we will go into the deep dive session of how we have done, what have we done in terms of improvements, and what are the grants enhancements that were recently that were part of the recent PUMs. Okay. Agenda, yeah, the KP approach to implementing PUM image updates, and the PTF and how it has helped us through the success of the journey in the last few years, and some of the grants key functionality as a part of the image 40 plus.
Okay, so we do have a couple of polls out there that you should see. So if you would please vote for the first poll. Are you using PeopleSoft Grants Management today? Give it a second to see if we can get any responses. I should also mention, I'm not sure if it was mentioned at the beginning, if you have questions, please put them in the chat, into the Pathable chat, and we will try to answer them either as we go or at the end. Okay, so we're starting to get a few responses. I believe you guys should also be able to see it. So far we have 5 yeses, 1 no. Oh, that's 6 yeses. Go ahead, go to the next poll, which is, are you using PTF today? Oh, okay, getting some more responses on that. Looks like we have already 4 yeses, couple no's. That's great, great to hear. Oh, 5 yeses. Thanks for participating in the poll. We've got a few more in the no. Okay.
Yeah, next slide, please. Thanks, Jessica. Yeah. All right, so this is an interesting slide which I would like to discuss with all of you. So this is our journey, right? KP's journey in the PeopleSoft platform. So 2009, it's when it started, and from 2009, we have been rolling on the PeopleSoft into different regions, different functionalities, or different functional areas like GL, AP, supply chain. So as and when we had scope to do it, we used to roll on, and then technically around took us almost like a 5-year journey. And then in 2015 is when we did a major upgrade from 8.9 to 9.2. Okay, so that was a huge change. And from then on, one thing to call out for the group is every year we have been doing updates. So one thing is in 2008 we have done updates 2 times. That's when we felt from the experience standpoint for Kaiser, an organization like KP, we felt it's better if we do once, because we were taking most of the business time as well as other resource time. So we felt there's more value add if we do once every year. So since then, from 2018, every year we have been doing updates. We are trying to catch up on all the tools as well as all the images that Oracle has delivered. And as a part of the journey, we try to adapt to the functionalities and whatever has been provided by Oracle. So also in this journey, I also want to say that KP, one of the key success for us is our management has taken initiative to secure funding, because we know that we always have to be current to catch up on all the latest features that Oracle has provided. So there's always been funding being secured to ensure that the updates happens every year. So that's something I would like to call out. And every year that funding is secured. And unlike any other teams, we have the development, SIT, and business side functional area, as well as business, that are actively involved in the updates. And as we go to the next slide, we'll talk how we have improved. Okay, so any questions on these slides? Thank you. So we went live with updates, like a couple of recent updates a couple of weeks back. So usually our go live is around September every year. Okay, and we catch up with all the images that are there until that point. So update project for 2022 is the 5th year of the updates. And we have a dedicated team, and the biggest winner for us is PTF scripts. Okay, so and we'll talk more about it, and that has actually really helped us streamlining the overall testing process, because we really didn't want to do testing over and over. And we are on the recent updates was on image 40 to 43. That's what we updated, and the tools 8.58. And we have done a prototype POC for Cabana for future consideration. Any features that are being provided by Oracle has been presented to the users, and then users decide on the value add there, and then we take it further. Okay, so this is the approach we take. So we do the feature analysis. So as we do the feature analysis, we meet with our business partners. We present all the features that have been deployed in the most recent, and how it is going to add value to them from in their existing business process. Because I am part of the OneLink production support, I do see day-to-day operations, how the business does, and I completely understand the end-to-end business processes. So I go and recommend our business users, say, this feature is something that has been deployed. I think doing so will reduce this amount of hours, or it will improve the business process. Whatever outcome comes out of meeting is that we adopt those features, and then we do the testing around that features, and then deploy it. Okay. So other key factor is the regression test evidence. So this is where initially when we started the updates, the dev used to do the unit testing, SIT used to do the regression testing, and then as a functional analyst, my team used to do the testing from functional standpoint again, and then users used to do the testing. So imagine there used to be 4 different levels of time span for testing to be done. It was, I'm talking about in 2018, around that time frame. Later on, we realized that it is not adding any value. That's when we moved on to, we took the approach of PTF. Okay, and then PTF helped us in making the testing easy. So what we take is, we take the test evidence and present it to the users, and we get their sign off. Okay, and user acceptance testing, we only limit the user testing to any of the new features that we are going to deploy and what was agreed upon. Okay, and finally, prod validation. Once go live, we pull in users to make sure that everything is good and as expected. Okay, so these are the different, kind of the same team, and how we approach the end-to-end. Okay, and this is just to get a feeler of the timelines. We started this year. PUM updates went live on September was it the weekend of September the 16th. Okay. And for that, our journey started sometime in March. So that is when most of the development build has been done. And sometime in April, the functional analysts have done the analysis on the new features and then presented it to the business. And we moved on to SIT in May and UAT in July timeframe. So we have dedicated resources, but they are not like 100%. I mean, when it comes to the functional standpoint, or they're not 100% on the updates. They actually do other functions. Updates is another. Initially, it used to be 100% dedicated to the updates, but as we streamline the process that we have, they are part of the updates team, but they do their other functions, working on either enhancements or support and things like that. So that is how we have improved. Okay.
Okay. So as Prasad was mentioning, one of the things that has really been helpful in staying current and incorporating into their PUM updates projects is PTF. So for those that haven't heard about it yet, PeopleSoft Test Framework automates various tasks within the PeopleSoft application, primarily functional testing. It was built for test engineers and developers. So the delivered features do allow the test execution in Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, as test cases for data management, test linking, maintenance reports, and test upgrade tools. And we do think as delivered, it does have a lot of great features, for creating, maintaining, and running a test library. But there are some features that we wish that it did have. It doesn't deliver the online reporting or editing functionality that we feel users need during the test cycles. So what SpearMC has done is created a what we call the testing grounds. So an ecosystem of tools built to fill in some of those gaps that we think are currently in the tool and make PTF a little bit more approachable for the functional users. So this testing grounds includes dashboards, execution logs, error screenshots, evidence reports, data management, and ability to define those test cycles. So here's an example of what the dashboard looks like, giving you visually, an indicator of where you are in the testing process. Down below, statistics about your PTF script execution. So if you are, if you haven't started using the tool and like to have a little help getting started, either with training and having a set of scripts to start from, definitely happy to talk to you more about that.
Thanks, Jessica. This is a very important slide. So as I was talking about the journey, initially, our SIT team did have PTF scripts. So what was it more like is they were using PTF, but they are not using it. We were not using it to the extent that it could do things for us. So we were using PTFs like just as to run a couple of jobs or things like that. It's later, the one link management came back to us, to the team and said that, testing, technically, we are doing redundant things in testing. So SIT is doing the testing, the functional team is doing the testing, the users are doing the testing. So that's when we went back, we did to the whiteboard, and that is when we streamlined the overall business processes. And then we decided that, PTF is there to test end-to-end functionality. And then we have worked with the business users, identified all the end-to-end business processes that they have, okay? Where even if there are variations, we captured them, okay? And then these are all the different end-to-end business. I would say 90% of the end-to-end, maybe we added more after this, but 90% of the end-to-end business processes. And that is where we got the most value out of it. So we built this PTF as per business vision, how they would like to see a transaction flow from end to end. And at every point, we have taken their input to ask what kind of output they would like to see. A screenshot here, if the award, once the award is done, or if the screenshot, if the project is created, or if there is approval process done, and it's a screenshot after the cost collection, things of that nature, right? So we have taken input from the business on what makes them feel comfortable to sign off just by looking at the output that is coming out of PTF. Okay, that is how we have built the PTF, and that makes it easy for them. And then SIT team started executing the script. So now we have eliminated the testing of functional testing. Okay, and we have also eliminated the business user testing. So the only key thing that we collaborate with SIT team primarily is providing the data input feed, making sure that they have the right data when they're processing the end-to-end scripts. So we validate that to make sure that the right input is provided to the scripts. Okay, so that is where the most value add we have seen from coming out of PTF. Yeah, these are some of the thanks. These are some of the screenshots that are coming out of the PTF scripts, as evidence. And there are two things, right? One is the SIT team, after they're done, they validate the screenshots, and then they pass it on to the functional team. We also look at it, and then once we are okay, we pass it on to the business users. They have some key points where they go validate to make sure that things are working and nothing is broken, and we move on. We have simplified the overall UAT process and the sign off, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, great. I always find it so interesting and helpful, I think, for other customers to hear about your approach and your experience. So thank you again for sharing that. So we actually presented this presentation last year at Reconnect, and it was for PUM updates 32 to 39. But I didn't share the screen, so I thought I'd go ahead and share reshare a couple of the screenshots from last session. So this gives you an example for last year. What are the items that the business felt were required and therefore included in the testing and in the rollout? So just a few here. So in my notes, I had from the last session that really for the 2021 updates project for Kaiser, it was mostly a technical retrofit. That's where the primary work was around, and limited impact for business. I think you'll see that change in 2022 a little bit. So we had 3 here. The first 2 were new, enhancements, and the last one was a retrofit that Kaiser put into place related to the new feature of the commitment control start and end dates being displayed on the award profile. Okay, so the first one, enhanced prompts for project ID and grants to include project description, as well as enhancements to the contracts to billing interface to include some new fields, master contract ID, LOC document ID, and a system data processing option. Okay, so here was image 38, where you see that enhanced prompts for project ID. So the top one shows you the before, and the bottom is the after, where now we have the description field available, where you can not only now search for it, which is great if you can't remember the project ID offhand in memory, you can then search for the name, which I do often. And then on the contracts to billing run control, especially I think related to grants, we see now the LOC doc ID. Kaiser does for the LOC, they run their billing in larger batches. So probably this feature they won't use too often, but obviously always nice to have additional lower level options when you're processing data. So that's great. And then let's get into PUM updates 40 to 43. As Prasad mentioned, Kaiser just went live very recently on 43. Here's a screenshot of the grants management homepage. So you guys may already be very familiar with this page. And this was an image 38 in a lower People Tools level. I just wanted to point out what it looked like now in the more recent version of People Tools 859. So you probably heard a lot about this week. The new design of the fluid user interface that rethinks the way users navigate applications. So both the icons themselves on the tiles look different. We see up on the top in the middle, the search bar, and we have our favorites now located off over here, as well as recently visited. And as you get into the nav bar, so back to the older People Tools level, you see we have probably a lot of the navigation you're familiar with. So now with the new updated People Tools, we do have changes actually in the labeling of that navigation. For me, it takes a little bit to get used to, but I definitely have begun to really appreciate the search feature just to quickly get to a page. So it's nice that we still have all of our old navigation options of the navigation collections, nav bar, but also now the search capability right here at the top. This was a screenshot from image 41. That happened to be the first environment I had with that People Tools level. Okay, and then in image 40, Oracle has enhanced the proposal approval process to use the delegation framework. Okay. So back in 39, back in 39 already, we got the approval framework feature to support delegation framework. So users now can choose to delegate or authorize work to another person. So this framework makes that a lot easier. And we now see it available for the grants proposal workflow in image 40. Real quick, how that looks again. So you have this train stop approach to walk you through how to initiate this request. So first of all, we're putting in what is our dates. We want to start delegating to somebody else. We pick our proxies. We can choose our transactions and review and submit. Let's walk through the grants example for proposal approval. So here I have an example just mocked up where there's two approval steps. We see down here, we have a co-PI as the first step. And the next step is the proposal being approved by the PI. So I'm going to initially log in as our Corinne, who is our co-PI, and she's going on vacation. So she wants to go ahead and put in a request to delegate her approvals to somebody else. So first, we enter in our delegation dates. Optionally, you can enter an end date, but you don't need to. You can just simply add your when it starts, comments if you'd like. As we click next to the next step, we now can select who we want to take over for us for our approvals. So I'm picking me in this case. And then in the next step, step 3, we can choose which type of transactions we want to delegate. And there's a long list here, so you can't see I'm actually selecting both, but I'm clicking, I want proposal approval. And then lastly, we can take a look and review it before we submit it. And we can see, in fact, I did select those two types of transactions. So invoice approvals, as well as proposal approvals. And I can go ahead and submit that request. Going into our fluid approvals, now I'm logged back in as Jessica Mann myself. I can see I have a delegation request, and I can go ahead, review it, and decide, yes, I'm going to go ahead and approve that request. So now, once that proposal, once the proposal is submitted, we've clicked here, the start approval process, given the opportunity to back out if we're not quite ready. But if we click yes, we'll see that now we have a workflow routing in our fluid approvals. We can see that this was actually something that was delegated by somebody else, and we can go through and decide if we're going to approve that request. Okay, so I think it's awesome. Great way to make it easier to delegate your approvals when you're out of the office. So this was also made available for invoice approvals, like I showed you kind of in that example, where you can select multiple transactions. Already in image 39, that was made available for billing. And just gonna highlight here, invoice approvals have actually been around for a while for billing. So it was back really in 9.1 where that was rolled out, and it was enhanced over time. So in image 22, it was enhanced for fluid. And then in image 24, I think this is really what made it more usable for grants billing, because they added the ability to include invoices created through the billing worksheet. So many of the grants users still utilize the billing worksheet. And now we have the ability to say, even those invoices that go through the billing worksheet, they can be included in the billing approval process. So that was great for grants. And then as we mentioned here, image 39 also has the ability to use that delegation framework. And just showing you here on the billing business unit setup where you can turn on that worksheet approval functionality. Okay, any questions yet? Keep going. Okay, additional modifications for the modify end dates feature. So in image 41, Oracle enhanced the modify end dates feature to include project end date on the budget definition component in commitment control. So hopefully you guys are using this today. I think overall grant users have been very, very happy with this. So initially in image 25, this feature was rolled out to make it easier to update the end date in grants, since there are so many different various end dates. So with image 25, we could in one page update the contract lines, associated project and activities, award funding, and award modifications. Then we got the project team end dates in image 34. And now in image 41, we have the ability to update the commitment control end dates, which is awesome. Okay, so let's see. Okay, oh, I did actually run into this recently in one of my customers. So depending on which image you are, there was a fix for the funding period end date that came in image 34. So just be aware of that there was one fix posted out there in image 34. And here's just a note on the project team. So if you haven't gotten to test this yet, just be aware that you'll only see the project team grid on that page when program management is disabled. So once that is unchecked, then we see this box right here for project team, and that's incorporated into the page where we can also update the project team and dates. And that is basically for the last team schedule. So if you have team members that happen to have multiple dates, it would just be for the last schedule in the project team. Okay, so just walking through this, obviously we know we can either individually select lines or check them all at once if there's multiple lines. We enter in what we want our new end date to be, and we click copy new end date. Now, what's new here is the commitment control end dates. So actually, when we click the save is when this process right here is initiated for commitment control. So there'll be a little bit of a pop-up here to let you know that the process has initiated to update commitment control end dates. I'm going to go back here. This gives you just the logic here of how it would be updated. So the commitment control end date is calculated as the new end date, which you entered, plus days to add to project end date. So kind of the same concept of grants close days that get tacked on when you generate the award. We have the ability to not just use that end date, but tack in some more time to allow for those trailing costs. Okay, all right, so that's just the after of the modified end dates. Here is the new setting on the award definition, where you can indicate, do you want to allow the user to manually update it? Do you want to tack on some additional days? And also, which rows should we update? Either the current effective dated row or any current and future dated rows. So that's, I think, pretty exciting. I know we have some customers that are waiting to get that update. So that's great. Okay, then in image 41, Oracle added the ability to enable real-time indexing for specific grants. The word profile indexes to transmit data to the Elasticsearch at save time rather than having to perform incremental updates. This allows for near real-time updates to your index data. So I was very excited to see this come out in image 41 because obviously Elasticsearch is used in PeopleSoft, but also an Elasticsearch index can also be used for Kibana. So I was hoping that in the near future, we would get some dashboards for grants. In the meantime, we had been playing around with grants customized or tailored dashboards. So this was one of the dashboards we put together. So obviously, not only can you use the delivered dashboards for Kibana, but you can create your own. And this was one version. We also created a version using commitment control data so we can display more of the budget to actuals. But it wasn't quite as colorful and pretty as this, so I didn't include that one. But the exciting news is that there is a Grants Kibana dashboard planned. It's on the roadmap. And here are some of the items that they're considering. So not surprisingly, we have summary level budget costs and billing for cost reimbursable awards, some slice and dice capabilities to examine, by BU, by award type, by sponsor, PI. And then also they have dashboards plans for commitment control to see the budgetary dashboard for department owners to manage their cumulative spend over budget. So these screenshots you may have seen earlier in the week for the financials presentation by Oracle. So very, very excited to see what that will look like for grants. All right, so kind of circling back to the Kaiser Permanente recent PUM update 2022. This is what they had highlighted as new features that the business definitely wanted to receive and include in their security and their features. So number one is enable payment predictor to apply multiple payments against the same item. Next is validate billing data before processing. Number three, correct accounting to reduce downstream error creation. And then lastly, number four, validate chart field combinations before processing. Okay, and we'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. So lots of billing and AR type features. All right, so in image 42, Oracle added the MulPay algorithm to the payment predictor algorithm group refs, which allows payment predictor to apply multiple payments to a single item in a single run. Here on the receivable business unit options, we can see the configured payment predictor method for a particular set ID. So as I drill into that payment predictor method, and if it is using the algorithm group of refs, now it will use the following logic. So if the first payment amount is less than the item balance amount, payment predictor selects and applies the next payment. If the cumulative payment amount is still less than the item balance amount, payment predictor selects and applies the next payment. And then this process continues until the remaining balance is zero or there are no remaining payments. This is KP's payment predictor configuration. For summary reference, you can see that they are using that algorithm group that was just updated, the refs algorithm group. And KP initially rolled out payment predictor with their implementation of interregional subrecipient billing, and definitely is looking to expand the use of payment predictor. So any enhancements to payment predictor is definitely encouraged and will be looked at by KP. Okay, so another example of KP configuration where for one of their markets, they have the payment predictor associated to their set ID. And why we really wanted to roll out this payment predictor is for their interregional subrecipient billing, which is when one market receives an award, but has another region do a part of the research. So in this case, they are using the inter-unit billing functionality, where after the invoice is approved, goes through billing approval workflow actually, after it's been approved and finalized, that subrecipient invoice will be sent over to AP. That invoice will be loaded into accounts payable, edited and posted, and once it is paid, the AP using delivered functionality will send over a payment to accounts receivable, which can be applied to that invoice that was sent to AR, and automatically through payment predicted, it takes the payment from AP and applies it to the invoice. So you really don't have to do any additional manual steps to that invoice once it's applied. Sorry, once it's approved and finalized. So it can be that liability can be completely relieved in AP, and the accounts receivable balance is also reduced down to zero. So very cool functionality, and was definitely key that we had the payment predictor to kind of close off the loop. I guess any questions on that? I don't see I don't see any questions in the chat so far, but let us know if you have any. Okay, next we'll go to validate bill, which was added in image 42. The feature allows you to verify that there is no inactive or invalid data on an original or a template bill before making a copy or adjustment. So it basically allows you to view it and make corrections before proceeding. Chart fields and specific person fields are validated. So you can also use the validate button on the adjust entire bill, adjust selected bill lines, copy single bills, and define copy group detail 1 pages. You know, for grants, we don't often use the template bill, or, you know, kind of rare do we copy from an existing bill, but definitely any validation that's delivered by the system is great. And we'll go to the next page. So here we see this is adjust entire bill, and actually Kaiser is moving more towards using the credit and rebill feature. So this is helpful that we can click the validate button and check for things that for anything that's inactive, invalid. So this is the adjust entire bill, but we see it's also available on these pages here down below. Okay, so here's an example of what that validation error might look like, telling you exactly what the problem is here. So billing specialist, oh, we need to go back and change that. Okay, okay, here, this is what I wanted to show. So these are the types of data that will be validated. So making sure your billing authority, billing specialist, collector, credit analyst, salesperson, if you're using that, and most chart field values. So very nice new feature. This is awesome too. So correct billing, accounting entries, and mass. This was delivered in image 40. Gave you the ability to correct accounting entries and mass, which allows you to correct accounting mistakes after a bill has been finalized. So this was, you know, hopefully after, you know, go live, you didn't incur this too often, but if you do, those type of errors were tricky to fix because your invoice was finalized, you couldn't make changes to it, right? So now this feature allows you to perform correction to invoices that have been finalized where the preload process has not been run. Here's an example of what that might look like. We have our invoice status of INB. I can see on the bill summary info 2 page, the preload status has not yet been run. It's in pending status. So obviously we didn't make it much further to send to the GL or AR. And as we come into our finalized invoice, in this case, I'm looking at the revenue distribution. We have a revenue code. I think that's 4, is that how many zeros is that? It's hard to see, but beginning with, I think, 400,000. So that actually caused an error, combination edit error, or it was inactive account. Can't remember what the situation was. So now we can come into the mass update accounting entries page for multiple invoices, or in this case, I'm just updating the one to change an existing account value. So that's the field that I chose to update. You obviously can change others, change from one value and replace it with the value that you specify. Okay, so sorry, I guess I kind of went too fast, but you click the search, gives you the results, and then we can indicate what is it that we want to change. And then we go ahead and click the update process. Okay, so now when I navigate into, once I finalize that, we get a notification. Okay, is it okay to proceed with the update? Once I click OK, and it's done, I can go back into my finalized invoice and now see that my accounting distribution has been updated. Okay, oh yeah, this was just kind of showing you where the preload process was in the batch jobs. Okay, so we made it past the initial pre-process edits. We finalized the invoice. As long as this has not been run, we can go ahead and use that update process. Billing invoice validation. So added a validation process that can be run from the single action and finalize and print run control pages, checks for header data, active chart fields, and runs the combination edit process. If errors are found, the system displays the validation errors page. Okay, so on those pages, now we have this validation button here that we can proactively do before we finalize the invoice and see, do we have any errors? Once again, we're seeing we have a billing specialist error, inactive billing specialist on a couple of our invoices. Okay, almost out of time here, but I have just a couple of additional new functionality related to grants that I wanted to show in PUM 44 and 45. So back in image 36, there wasn't a change to the billing interface that allowed you to now run by a business unit as well as, you know, the more traditional interface ID. And that was additionally expanded in image 44, where now we have not only the interface ID, the business unit, but also the bill source. Here's some screenshots. In 36, we got the business unit option. And now additionally, we have the ability to run by bill source. Once again, always nice to have additional options when running these processes. We're actually working on a billing automation project with KP right now, and we're looking into having the system have the ability to actually automatically process the billing interface so that a user wouldn't have to do this step. We're hoping to use the business process weaver functionality, so we are looking into that, where even if you're not using streamline billing, you kick off contracts to billing and it will automatically kick off the billing interface. So that's one thing that we're working on. And then we are also excited to see this new feature in image 45. So as part of the billing automation project, we will be turning on the ability to email invoices for grants. And one of the requirements that we had is that for each of the different billing business units, we wanted to have a different, the business wanted to have a different from email address. So who's sending that email should change for each business unit to that business unit's group billing email box. So this is timely for us, that in image 45, enhance the email that is generated when an invoice is sent to include a from email address in place of the original system email address. This from email address is configured for a business unit or bill type. So a couple of different levels where we can configure this. Well, we can configure it and then override it at a lower level. So here is the billing business unit level. And then at the bill type level, we can also override it. There is some validation also on the formatting of the email address, which is very similar to the customer contact email address. So checking to make sure you have the right format, which is great. So we're actually in progress with reaching out to Oracle to see if that's a feature we can selectively adopt for our project, because that is a requirement that we have for our project. Okay, all right, so a few minutes to spare. I will mention that Prasad did have to drop off early for another meeting, but I am happy to follow up with him on any questions you have specifically for him. I'm looking at the chat. I don't see any questions, but feel free to also unmute yourself if you'd like to jump in with a question. Oh, now I'm seeing some, hold on. Okay, I will, we have one question here. In the example, you showed preload process had not yet been run. Can the BI accounting entries be modified even after they have been successfully created by the new en masse correction feature? Okay. So let's go back to that. I think we were talking about here. Can the BI be modified even after they have been created by the en masse? Oh, I'm not sure if the question is, can they be modified again? Can the BI accounting entries be modified even after they have been successfully created by the new en masse correction feature? So if you're wondering, can we run this multiple times? All right, so if you're looking at this example right here, so it did create the entry. Let's see, hold on. I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question right. I do know you can run this multiple times, the correction process, but I think you're wondering, once the accounting entries have been created, can you redo it? And I'm wondering if that is possible. I would lean towards saying no, because I think what you're saying is that the entries are in the BI accounting entry table. And then can you run it after that? And at that point, you would have passed this step. So I believe the answer is no. This is for catching it up, catching it before, you know, this process has successfully completed. Let's see if there's any other questions. I think that's everything. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just say thank you again for joining this session. We do have the file posted out in the conference website, but if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, thanks, Jessica. Nice job.
Oh, I guess I can stop the recording. There we go. Stop.